What's up, everybody? It's shameless plug time. So thanks for checking out the podcast, Going Full Nerd. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe everywhere possible. So look for Going Full Nerd on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, goingfullnerd.com, and my Twitter handle, ONYXXX1969. You can also listen to the audio version on its home, Anchor.fm, but also on Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you consume your podcast listening pleasure. Hey guys, let's get on with the show. Okay, now let's get on with the show. What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Onyx here at Going Full Nerd. Hopefully my audio is not as atrocious as it was on that recording that I did last week. I totally have to apologize for that. This is live. It is live. It is live. It is live. So what happened was, had a great weekend last weekend, but had to, support the grandkids, support the little nerds in training. And, my grandson had a performance, step team, all that good stuff. So I pre-recorded something for you guys, pushed it out. And, that's what we do. That's what we do. We're a family channel, despite all my adult beverages. Oh, excuse me. A little gassy there. Hold on. And I'm going real hood today, the Crown Royal. All I need is a little purple bag and a pimp hat. But, we're going to talk a little bit about something that I was able to see via what? Via our other means. I'm not going to get into how I saw it. I'm just going to go ahead and say, I saw it. And we're going to talk about Legion of Superheroes, which is the new DC Comics Warner Brothers animation getting ready to release this week. Okay, this week on digital, Blu-ray, DVD, all that good stuff, so you guys could see it. I had the pleasure of being able to see it ahead of time. I will not say how. I will just say that I saw it. And those of you who subscribe to doing alternate means, please, you can go check it out too. And it is what it is. And I appreciate all of you guys, with that. So let's talk a little bit, though. We've had some nice Twitter conversations going back and forth this week. And I just kind of wanted to do a little bit more talk about the future of DC Comics, Extended Universe, and Warner Brothers. And here goes my thing. If you've seen the previous podcast and we talked a little bit and went back and forth, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to definitely say that I am happy with James Gunn at this point. With not one Warner Brothers DC project that he has helmed even being out. Just the thought process. And I know we've been beating this up for about the past 3-4 weeks, but I'm going to give Warner Brothers their due diligence because we got Ant-Man coming up. And once Ant-Man drop, I'm going to be straight Marvel. That's how I roll. I'm a Marvel dude. But, I like Warner Brothers and certain DC Comics properties. Now, no, we're not going to talk about that upgrade that Soups got. But listen, here's the deal. So let's talk a little bit, folks. Let's talk a little bit. There's a couple of things that I'm grateful for with James Gunn taking over the helms. He acknowledged and he basically said, we're not going to trash everything. Yeah, Henry Cavill, he was not fired from being Superman. He was just not hired for the new iteration of Superman movies. So that's a big difference because that kind of shows, hey, listen, we appreciate everything he's done, but we got a different story that we're going to tell. That's like they didn't fire Jared Leto after his atrocious, and I'm going to say atrocious, Suicide Squad appearance. They just did not hire him for the Joker standalone film. Does that make sense? Does that, you know, is that what my thing? Does that make sense, or am I just crazy? And the great part is yes, just like you said, look, we don't need another Superman origin film. And I don't think he's going to go and do a Superman origin film. He's just going to do a young, early in his career Superman, which, yes, it has been done in conjunction with origin stories. But if you're talking about interconnecting the rest of the animation, games, movies, television, all that good stuff, then what we've got here is the fact that they're going to forego the origin and be like, yo, he's here, he left Smallville, he did this. I'm hoping that's what they do. Okay. I don't know, man. Jared Leto, man. Awesome actor, okay, but yo, he been striking out recently between Morbius, Suicide Squad. Hey, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Let me take a sip. Hold on. So I'm hoping that goes and moves forward. But as far as the Henry Cavill, thanks a lot. Appreciate you for what you've done. Let's move on. Now, the fact that James Gunn said, hey, let's go ahead and title all this stuff that I got no control over, that I can't do anything with, and it's going to get released because Warner Brothers dropped major dough. They made it rain on these. They will be clearly titled Elseworlds. And as far as Elseworlds is concerned, here goes the line. All of you guys who are familiar with comic books know Elseworlds is DC Comics' version of What If. So that kind of gives them the leeway to make these standalone stories, kind of make these stories that will have everybody like, yes, this is what we're going to do. This is, we could get this, draw this crowd in, we could get this, draw this crowd in, but we don't take away from the storytelling that we're going to do in this block right here. Now, we're going to talk about Damian Wayne because here goes my line. This is actually the one I'm most excited for. This is the one that I kind of feel, okay, you got to get this right and don't screw it up. With that being said, Damian Wayne. Excuse me. There's a couple of things that they could do for Damian Wayne. Now, if you see my Twitter post, you see the actor that plays number 5 in Umbrella Academy. Don't ask me his name right now. I didn't write it down and it's escaping me. I thought the way he acted as number 5 in Umbrella Academy on Netflix makes him a good Damian Wayne. He's got it down pat. The attitude, he doesn't have to act like an old man, but he could just go in there with that confidence. Okay. Then I did think about it. My man talked about everybody knows my man Damon. He comes in here, the Bat, and I always get on him about Batman and Damian Wayne, and not Damian Wayne, but I get on him about DC Comics. I get on him about the Snyderverse, but he made an excellent choice, and that's that young actor, the other young actor, the one that's the, martial artist, and, he's got the age, the height, and the look. Now, Aidan Gallagher. Yes, thank you, Low Cuts. Thank you. That's the one. Okay. Now, but here's the deal. The thing about my man from Umbrella Academy, from Mr. Gallagher, the problem that I have with him, it was brought up. He's 18, 19 years old, and he's kind of tall. Damian Wayne is a short dude. But here goes the thing. It's worked in movies. I mean, everybody kisses Hugh Jackman's ass. He's 6 foot tall, and Wolverine's supposed to be like 5'4". I mean, come on. But there's something else that I've seen come across line that I'm a little bit more interested in, and that is, if you look at the original introduction of Damian Wayne and some of the stories around that time frame with Talia al Ghul, Damian should have some color to him. We don't need him completely whitewashed. Black History Month, folks. Let's he's a you know, Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul. Those names right there sound a lot Middle Eastern, and a lot of Middle Eastern names, they a little bit more chocolatier than I am sitting out in the sun. They ain't too pasty. So my line is, hey guys, maybe we could get an unknown actor, fits the height, the look, and the attitude. Because if you screw up the Damian Wayne attitude, you're just going to lose a whole lot of people. Now, like in Titans, Jason Todd was a jackass, okay? There's a difference between playing a jackass and an overconfident assassin kid. There's a big difference. Big freaking difference. So I hope they don't confuse the two. Second of all, the thing about it is if you're introducing Damian Wayne, you're not doing a Batman origin, which is good, and you're possibly not doing a Robin origin, which is great, because then you should have the rest of these characters already there. Batgirl should be able to show up. Nightwing should be able to show up. The only ones that you could possibly do is maybe some of the ancillary characters, such as, Cassandra Cain, maybe the rest of them, and all the rest of the Bat family. But you got, those established ones we already know. Just roll with it. Roll with it. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But let's get to the main subject of today's discussion. And that is DC Warner Brothers Animation Legion of Superheroes. Okay, now, admittedly, there was a Legion of Superheroes cartoon that was on television. Wasn't really too thrilled with that. And if anybody ever heard or listened or bring it up from one of my older recordings on the podcast, the key ends up being is I was like, yes, if I was taking over the DC universe, I'd get the Legion of Superheroes in it. Well, this isn't part of James Gunn's little forte or foray into this. This is something that was already pre-done. They released it. They got a new Batman one releasing soon. It is what it is. And I can admit, a lot of people don't remember the old Legion of Superheroes cartoon. Google it. It looked pretty bad. I mean, it had like an emo Superboy. Dude had like dark spots under his eyes, like he ain't have no sleep. But here goes the thing. It wasn't as well thought out as this. And then we've also had DC Warner Brothers Animation drop off a Justice League versus the Fatal Five, which was a Legion of Superheroes thing. Anyway, but this right here is kind of cool. Premise of the whole thing. Supergirl is basically just getting to Earth and she's having trouble adapting. That's the initial part of the story. So good old Kal-El, good old Superman, gives her a slight little thing to make her feel more at home. And what is that? That is, he takes her on a trip to the 31st century and enrolls her in Legion Academy, which is basically where, it's basically like Starfleet Command, but for superheroes. Think about that. almost like the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, but run by the future government. It's kind of cool. Kind of cool. Now, here's the deal. She gets there immediately, starts getting into stuff, but then she runs into Brainiac. And as we all know, Brainiac and Supergirl, that's usually a fight right there because of the whole, I'm Brainiac, I tried to kill Superman, I'm going to collect planets and shrink them and whatever. But here goes the deal. And I'm not going to spoil this completely for you, but we go through a kind of a rough part, an understanding part, true villain, success story. Now, here goes the thing. Is it a basic ass story? Yes. Yes, it's a basic ass story. It's really so basic that it's not predictable. I'm going to put it like that. It is not predictable. It is one of those things where you're like, okay, I get this. This is happening. So this is happening. Villain reveal. Okay, I get it. I didn't think he would be a villain, but this thing follows in traditional Warner Brothers DC Comics animation. It's for it's not kids. It's not for kids. I mean, there's murder, there's language, and there's violence. Okay? If a kid does watch it, I would say restricted to teenagers. If it's anything younger than a teenager, watch it with them, explain, but I'm not going to tell people how to parent. Your choice. Do you. Okay? Just saying. So, what do they introduce? Well, a couple of things. They introduce the Legion. They introduce a bunch of various heroes. And then as you look at these characters, you're like, you know what? It's funny. It gets serious. And then I like the diversity. In all honesty, the diversity is on point. Here's one thing they did that I don't think people will notice, or if they do notice, they slipped this one by. Lightning Lad. Traditionally, Lightning Lad in the comic books was a Caucasian male with his twin sister. In this one, he got a little chocolate in him. I was like, yeah, Wildfire is in it. Yes, my boy Wildfire is in it, but he's relegated to a non-participating role. I'll say that much. But it is what it is. I mean, if you're going to go my all-time favorite Legion of superheroes characters, Wildfire, Timberwolf, Colossal Boy. And those are my three. Those are my dudes. They did some liberties with Dawn Star and how they drew her in this adaptation. It's kind of cool. And but here goes the thing. Story-wise, solid. Animation, maybe not what we're used to. It's okay. Voice acting, with the passing of Kevin Conroy, the Batman leaves a little something to be desired, but it is a Batman. So I can't wait to see what happens when they do this Batman animation. I think it is like Kevin Conroy's last, is it? Maybe? No? I don't know. I'll have to double check, see my notes from, Warner Brothers PR team, good old Gary. Good looking out for keeping me in the loop. So what do I give it without spoiling it? I gave you all the details. Well, Legion of Superheroes, though good, not excellent. Okay, I'm not going to say it's good, not excellent. So we're going to give it a 3.5 stars out of 5. Worth watching. Check it out. Check alternative means, or if you're a guy like me, collect them, buy the DVDs. Do you? Okay, 3 out of 3.5, decent. Could be a few things. Main villain, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil. No, it's not going to get a 4. It's not strong enough for a 4. I mean, if I stretched it, it could be 3 3.75, but I think 3.5 is good enough. So what do we got next up on the list, folks? What do we got coming up? Hey, we got Ant-Man Quantumania getting ready to hit theaters. We got the next season of Mandalorian coming in March. And we got Cocaine Bear getting ready to hit in a couple of weeks. It is what it is. No spoiler. No spoiler. No spoilers. No spoiler. Now, if people want to spoil it, I will put up a spoiler video. I will do it. And I will put the spoiler video up. I'll give it Wednesday. I'll blurt it out, tell you the whole damn thing. Or after the release date. I got to double check the release date. I put it in the description. It is what it is. So pretty much, folks, that's all I got for you this week. Legion of Superheroes. It's a good watch, not a must-see. All right, so where do we go from here? As you can see, I'm playing around. I'm also going to go ahead and try to do a few more shorts, and we're going to mess around with the streaming again. I know. I always try to upgrade, and then I break something. Well, I'm downloading a different streaming piece of software. So wish me luck, folks. I downloaded it. I'm going to set up the screens. Maybe I won't have the wham, the kapow, the pow, or the going full nerd on the screen with me anymore. I may try to do something different, something pretty cool, maybe slideshow showing images of what I'm talking about. I'm trying to upgrade here and make things work. If you haven't already done so, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Anyway, yes, and I'm going to watch Cocaine Bear. I am going to watch the movie Cocaine Bear. I am not going to promise that I'm going to go see it in the theater. I may see it through alternative means. But we're going to kick that funky outro. Please, everybody, hit this with a like. Peace out. No, peace out doesn't work. But anyway, if you can't say something nice, don't say it at all. Say it at all. Peace, y'all. I'm out of here. Funky outro music. Boom. I gotta work this out because I smell dinner cooking. Hey, next week is the Super Bowl, folks. No show. So you're gonna get the Super Bowl picks. Just letting you know. Hey, you're going to get my traditional Super Bowl picks. I'm letting you know that now, okay? So no show next week. I'm not going to disturb y'all eating wings, watching the big game, drinking adult beverages, and talking all that yang. Because I ain't going to, I'm going to do my thing. But anyway, if you haven't already done so and you're watching the replay, there's a subscribe button that's going to show up here when this whole thing finishes processing, and some pretty cool videos that you can click the link and watch. Make sure you do that. Have a wonderful night. What's up, everybody? It's shameless plug time. So thanks for checking out the podcast, Going Full Nerd. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe everywhere possible. So look for Going Full Nerd on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, goingfullnerd.com, and my Twitter handle, ONYXXX1969. You can also listen to the audio version on its home, Anchor.fm, but also on Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you consume your podcast listening pleasure. Hey guys, let's get on with the show. And what's happening, everybody? It's your boy Ani. Let me get the mic. Nope, we don't need the mic in the frame. This would be rude. This would be really rude if I did a whole video like this, right? I mean, that would be rude. Like, okay, You can't see me, but you can hear me. I know some people would probably rather not, you know, some people would probably rather not see me. I mean, I think I look pretty darn good. But but no, you don't get the anonymous talker on the mic. You get me, this guy. Yes, this guy. What's up? As you can see, I got my El Barto shirt with my Evil Empire New York Yankees hat on, as people say. Drinking the signature adult beverage, which may or may not have an effect on the show. Not really. Not very strong. So, I mean, we got to be coherent for these things, right? We've got to be able to talk and speak with authority and convincing. I'm bullshit. I'm sorry. But what's up? It's Sunday. It's 6 p.m. My wife finally made it back from a trip, so now it's back to the grind. I didn't complete my honey-do list, which, hey, suit me. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. But what are we going to talk about? What's up? What's up? Yeah. It's not endorsed, but it's Coke, all right. Yeah, Coca-Cola. yeah. It's cola. Whoo. Got to do the old Crown and Coke. But anyway, so what am I here to talk about? What are we going to say today? What's going down? I'm going to tell you what's going down. I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm going to tell you what it is. What it is is DC comic animation is untouchable. Okay, let's get some history here. So, honestly, I always have something slick to say about DC Comics and Warner Brothers. I really do. And it's not because I'm a hater. I'm a little hate, just a little bit of a hater. Not a lot, just a little. Okay. But I can acknowledge, what's good. I can acknowledge when storytelling is impeccable. I can say, I'm not going to sit here and say the animation was completely like eye dropping, but it was clean and great. But I'm talking about Justice League Warworld. Now, I got to throw some shade, a little bit of shade. So this is to the PR department at Warner Brothers. You used to send me press releases, so that means you either fired the guy or y'all just didn't like the hate I was spewing against your live action series. Now, I'm sorry that you only had a couple of live action series that I really enjoy, and I was all done and did not want to hear any more about the Zack Snyder stuff. I give props where props is due, but can I get back on the distribution list for the press releases? I don't get it. Marvel sends me their stuff. Fox sends me their stuff. I get stuff from Dark Horse Comics. I get stuff from Image Comics. But the distinguished competition doesn't, or DC as they call them, don't want to give you brother nothing. But anyway, let's go back. Let's rewind this back. So we had the first one that we kind of looked at, and we did a review here on the channel. We talked about Legion of Superheroes with Batman, Superman, and has Supergirl. Now, this, I don't know, I really couldn't tell if this was a direct sequel to that. But what I can sit back and say is that it was nice. confusing at first, real confusing at first. And the reason why I say it was real confusing at first, it started off, I thought it was like, you know, like a Elseworlds anthology. That's what I thought it was because, it's broken down into four distinct stories, three of which lead to the fourth. And it left me at a point where I was like, ooh, now what makes this so unique and so pressing? If everybody remembers the first Justice League stuff, they did all that stuff with Flashpoint and all that, and that was hot. And they had their share of, tragic moments and rough, action sequences and stuff. But this right here was just above and beyond. This was a strictly R rated. Let me say it again. R rated. And it was R rated for violence. I ain't gonna lie. A little sexual innuendo. Is it for kids? I don't really think so. But you could probably get away with some of it if you got an older kid. But this, I wouldn't do a young kid. I don't, maybe it's me. I think I was a lot more mature when I was younger. I think that's it because I'm like, yeah, I could have watched this when I was 11, 12, 13. I would have watched this. It wouldn't have affected me. But nowadays, different generation. Don't know. Too much stuff going on. I who knows? So, why? Okay, so 3 anthology stories plus a wrap-up story. So the first portion of it, you had Wonder Woman in the Old West. It was kind of cool. She was going up against Jonah Hex. Yes, Jonah Hex made a cartoon comic appearance or whatever you want to call it. He was the antagonist, the villain in that little story. And it was real interesting. I was like, okay. But then she fades off and goes through this thing. And then they start off with the next one, which for those of you who are kind of big comic book heads like me, if you remember a comic book called Warlord, I never bought it because I really wasn't into the heavy metal sword and fantasy style stuff. Unless I watched heavy metal, because then, as a kid, that's where you watched heavy metal, you feel, ooh, I can see a sneak a boob. But that's how that was as a kid. That went down the wrong pipe. Man, woo. Ooh, maybe I'm telling on myself. That little karma coming back up here. Ooh, woo-hoo. But anyway, we get to the second story with Warlord. Warlord comic book I never really got into. I just couldn't deal with the shirtless He-Man style guy with straps across his chest on a alien planet. I mean, they had so many comic books like that in the 70s and 80s. You had Kull, Conan, Warlord, John Carter, Warlord of Mars. You had the heavy metal stuff, which was more towards your teens, adults. I mean, it was just too much of that. I was Frank Frazetta art, and it wasn't what I was into at that point in time. But I do recognize the character. And the thing about it is this one, they brought it into that. This was where they introduced Batman, and Batman was into this in this portion. But here was the key part that now you realize once you start watching this, you've got the DC Comics Trinity. They don't remember who they are. So it's not really an Elseworlds tale. They just didn't know who they were, and they were living out in these fictional spaces. So even Batman was a regular guy, aversion towards guns in this. And then, he went, and this was more like a sword and sorcery style, barbarian stuff. And, make it through his part. He gets to the end, and lo and behold, there's Wonder Woman there again, but not as the character she was in the first thing that we saw, but she was now a warrior, much in the realm of like a Xena, warrior princess, or like if you ever watch those sword and sorceries, where they got the chick chained and oh, and I'm like, really? They did this? Okay. But like I said, the violence has amped up. During the Wonder Woman episodes, I mean, people were getting shot. I mean, graphically shot. Shot in the face, shot in the chest, bullets through the head. I'm like, whoa. When you got to the sword and sorcery one, heads getting cut off, people getting stabbed with sword. I'm like, whoa, Warner Brothers, what are y'all doing? But the story was on point. It wasn't the animation style wasn't that what's the best way for me to put it? It was cartoony, but it wasn't like they were trying to do anime, or wasn't trying to go hyper realistic, or it wasn't cheap cheesy Superman style. So I kind of get all of that. And then it led to the last story, which involved Superman, aka Clark Kent. So they had him as like in 1950s things. It was in black and white, and I'm like, okay. But come to find out, this particular, and this is why I say this is untouchable. Animation, clear, concise, to the point, following a certain style, which was not unappealing to the eye, like Batman Ninja. That's the only one that I can think of that I really didn't like. Animation style. The animation style on this was not bad. The story on point. I mean, references to other characters. But we find out in this particular last portion of the show, or the movie, or whatever you want to call this thing, the video, they were being summoned. And they were being summoned by a captured Martian Manhunter. I was like, wow. And then they start introducing all these things. They introduced Lobo. Lobo was in it. The main man had the voice. They had my man Bender. What's that? What's his name? DiMaggio. The voice. The voice is Bender. All right, I'm just saying the voice is Bender from Futurama. So to hear Lobo sounding like, I was waiting for Lobo to say, "Bite my shiny metal ass." I was just waiting for that to come out, but it didn't. But that's okay. But I looked at it and I was like, okay, this ends up being pretty good. And then they go and they fight the big bad of Warworld, Mongul. But here's the thing: I'm used to Mongul being this big, thick, Thanos-like, hulking, I'm big as Darkseid, I'm big as Thanos, I'm a slightly pudgy, heavy dude, with chesticle muscles and stuff like that. They slimmed him up like he went through Jenny Craig or something, and, maybe he went through a keto diet or something, maybe, because his skin was turning yellow, maybe he had to, clean up his life, but, here's the deal. It was he looked different, not a bad different, but it was not what I'm used to different. And I get it. You change a little things because it's new, but this was a pretty decent story. Now, the story didn't rectify itself in a way that I thought it would. It actually, what's the best way? Left it with a cliffhanger so they can have another movie. Okay, that's how it goes. That's what happens. And it looks like they're going to try to do what they did before, which is build a cinematic and animation track. Now, I cannot put my finger on the fact, is this pre-James Gunn taking over or post-James Gunn taking over? Obviously, it's released post-James Gunn, but I don't know if this was created before James Gunn took the helm and said, I want this. I thought his first animation was supposed to be Creature Commandos, which it still may be part of his, overarching plan for the DC universe, in media, film and media. But what I will say is that this was a good story. This had decent animation, good story, just the right amount of action, just the right amount of things you had to put together in your head, but we still suffer from the fact that we all know Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman, the DC Comics Trinity, and really, how many more stories are we going to tell with these guys? I mean, I'm enjoying it. It's untouchable. Now, what do I give it? What do I give it? Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it deserves a 5 out of 5. It does not deserve a 5 out of 5. The story starts off slow. And when I say the story starts off slow, it starts off to a point where I had no clue, no idea, and that could be a good or a bad thing, but it almost had me turn it off and be like, I don't want to watch this. It's dragging on. I'm not really feeling this. I guess I'm starting to suffer from what everybody does with a lot of these animated and live action superhero flicks. I'd be like, get to the goddamn point. That's just how I feel. But I'm glad I sat around and I waited. It was decent. It was very, very good. And it has earned a solid 4 out of 5. Yes, it's not perfect because there are some little things that kind of got on my nerve, but the fact that, the things that got on my nerve were not major enough to really dock it to say, oh, don't watch it. It is a must watch. It is something that I feel that is worth you taking a look at and peeping out. That's the deal. And that is what I got for you when I talk about Justice League War World, now out on digital, home, on demand, or whatever video. Just go ahead and check it out. I watched it through my patented alternative means. Can't tell you what that is. Just know I saw it. But where does that leave us? Movie theaters, they're open. I've been kind of slacking. Weekends have been very, very busy for me, so I haven't been able to pop out to a movie theater and do certain things. I got to make my way to a movie theater. I mean, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles dropped this week, and I really got to check that out. My wife still wants to see Barbie, but I'm trying to hold out to let that be a home release because I don't want somebody seeing me going to a theater to see Barbie. I have to take off my regular glasses, put on the shades, and be like, 2 for Barbie, please. I have to do something like that. And Oppenheimer, that's not my style. I mean, I don't want to see, I don't want to see a war movie. It's not even a war movie. I don't even want to see it. It just doesn't interest me. Historically, I read a book. Okay, I know what happened. I wasn't there. Contrary to the gray hair, I wasn't there. But I kind of learned a little bit in history, as bad as history classes are nowadays, and how bad they were in the past. It is what it is. But anyway, what else can I talk about to fill up these last few moments? But what happens is this, guys. I am going to do something real, real cool. I am going to let you guys know that I will be making a call-in number. I have a call-in number. I'm going to be posting it on Twitter, inside on the YouTube community page, the X app. I'll go ahead and put that out there. I'll even make a small little video and I'll flash the number across the screen. I'm not doing it right now, not flashing across the screen because I don't want it ringing while I'm in the show. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be fielding any question that is left on that number in a video. So if you call the number, leave a message, I will address and put it on my podcast. I will put it on there. Much like, and I'm going to tell you the truth, I'm stealing it. I've seen Stephen A. Smith do it, so I'm going to do it too. Hey, it works for him, it could work for me. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you this week. Check out Justice League War World. Looks pretty good to me. Not use your judgment when it comes for kids. And then I'll go ahead and say, if you can't say something nice, don't say it at all. Leave a message for me. I'll say it for you. Whew, back to the grind tomorrow. At least I don't have to go to a conference and do a lot of driving like I did last week. But anyway, peace, y'all. And I'm out of here. Let me hit that funky outro music and see you later. Well, that's how it goes, folks. This is it. This is the end. It's over. Done. If you look over here, there's some videos. And this is basically if you're watching this and it's the replay. There's some videos on this side. There's a subscribe up here. If you're watching it live, there's probably a little subscribe thing right here. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Please do so. Thanks for my man Dano and my man Thomas. Appreciate y'all popping in. And I'm done. Finish my adult beverage. I know people think that I'm just a regular Coca-Cola. Sometimes you need a little something stronger. Thank you for the applause. Snuck up in here. Appreciate you. Whoo, this is it. This is it. I'm out. Later. I think my screen's all whacked. I gotta redo all this stuff. Y'all see, when you hang around so late, this is what you get. You get me fussing at everything. Man.